way back in 2009. And since then, the Engagement Committee has worked on numerous endeavors to move us all further along on our spiritual journey. And Strengths for the Journey is one of those programs. And as I mentioned, we've had over 550 people go through the program. And then each year we invite you all to come together to focus on your strengths and talk to you about different ways you can use them in your life. We've done it with mercy, we've done it with prayer, and tonight we are honored to have our very favorite priest in residence, Father Peter, talk to us about using our strengths in times of transition. We all know and love Father Peter for his great and efficient homilies and jokes at the end of Mass. But did you know that he is a certified Gallup Strengths coach? Wow. He has led numerous seminars on the Strengths Finder assessment. He has his MBA from Kellogg. He's an adjunct faculty member of the Loyola University Chicago Quinlan School of Business. He is currently a director of the Department of Parish Vitality and Mission with the Archdiocese of Chicago. And most importantly, his strengths are strategic, achiever, learner, input, and positivity. Please welcome Father Peter.
I always have the same problem. Everybody gets very excited at first, and I get a great ovation, and then when I finish, usually there's no ovation. Because they look at their watches, they're like, I was just speaking a few weeks ago, maybe a week or so ago, to Catholic professionals, network professionals at St. Peter's in the Loop. Some people were there. They gave me 20 minutes. I'm thinking, okay, really, Thursday night, I am not going to go to St. Peter's for 20 minutes. I will at least speak 30, so they're always in my face with the watch trying to have me finish, and I never look at them until I finish my 30 minutes. I think it's a good topic for us to talk about because, well, obviously, given change is part of our lives, but also here at St. Clement's, there's a lot of changes. So we change a pastor, we change a lot of things outside of our church. We've been making it different and hopefully more efficient and more easily accessible and all that stuff, but things are changing. And some people really enjoy that, and some really do not like it. So having opportunity to come together and talk about it, but also look at change through our own strengths, I think is a blessing. People say a lot of times that change is hard. I'm trying to be nice, although nice is not one of my strengths. Not the first 100. Although I try, I've really learned that, but it was a learned behavior, not a given one, unfortunately. And I disagree with that because I don't think change is hard. I think the unknown of change is hard. I think, think about you being here tonight. There's a change to your schedule. Normally, unless you're a church lady or a church man, you would not be at St. Clement at 7:23 on Wednesday night. You would be doing something else. So it's a change in your schedule, and I don't think any one of us is traumatized because of the change in our schedule. So, but it's known, it's planned, and so we react to it very differently than if something would happen and all of a sudden we have to do something we didn't expect. So I think it's not that change is the unknown of change. And I think what the strengths give us is the unique opportunity to look how differently we observe change, how differently we look at change surrounding us. As Lisa mentioned, I've done a ton of speaking on Strength Finder, not so much with the churches because really my angle to it is more corporate than church-wise. I didn't do the church version of it. Although I found it most amazing once I read it when I came to St. Clement. But they asked me to do a session for a corporation in UK, and I was all not happy about it because I'm supposed to fly in and then do 5-hour talk on strengths with this group of executives and then fly back the same night. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I really want to do this, and I was really busy. So I called them, and they said, no, we really want you to come, and we heard you before. And I said, well, why do you want me to come? And they said, well, you really are a very warm speaker. And I thought, oh, that's nice. So then I thought, well, you know, English being my second language, why don't I Google what warm speaker is? It tells you it's not hot. It's kind of in the middle. And I thought, oh, I don't want to fly all those hours to be kind of not hot. So I called them and I said, well, are you sure you cannot find somebody in the UK? And they said, no, we really want you to come. Well, I got sick like a day before I left, and so everything was ready, and I really had this big cold, and I got on the plane, and so I sat down, and they offered me a drink, and I said, no, really, I cannot drink, because I have this cold, and I have to go and teach for a day, and then fly back. And so the flight attendant was obviously really bad for me. Connectedness probably was one of her great strengths, because she really, you know, empathy probably too, she felt really bad for me and really wanted to help me. So she gave me, like, I'm kidding you, about 10 little bottles of rum. And I was like, oh, I love rum. Amy does. And so I put them in my backpack, and I was really excited. And the next day I got into the presentation, and I was at the table with all my stuff, and I opened my backpack, and my backpack went down, and that was 9 o'clock, so they all kind of stared at me. Oh, this will be a tough day. And I said, well, guys, for those of you who will be active, I got little souvenirs. That helped the whole situation, but strategic, it's surely part of what I use a lot of times. So think about the time of transition in your life, the last time you faced any form of transition. How did it impact you? What was the impact of it? And how did you deal with it? And how others who were perhaps involved in the transition felt with, you know, and faced it? Whenever we face transition or change, we have a unique opportunity, I think, to learn something new about ourselves. We can leverage that learning purely by looking at our strengths and the opportunity to develop who we are and our understanding of reality through our strengths. Have you ever felt like you were out of place somewhere? You got somewhere and you felt like, oh, this is bad. It happened to me about 15 years ago. You know, I moved to Chicago, and my first place where I lived was right in River North. And you might see, well, that's really nice. Not 15 years ago. It was not nice by any stretch. It was sketchy, to say the best, but I lived there, and I was taking classes. I was studying English at UIC. And I didn't know one word of English, which made it pretty complicated. And so try to imagine the anger of somebody who, you know, I was in the law school, I did well in school all my life, not knowing how to call a flower, or what's the name of the product you want to get in the grocery store. It's humbling. It's a humbling change. You feel out of space every single moment of your life. I felt that for a year. That's what immigrants, by the way, feel every single year. And we take it for granted. But that's a big, major change. And so I think for so many of us, when we find ourselves in the out-of-place experiences, that the strengths really help us to look into ourselves, into our perspective, into how we perceive reality, and uncover and discover what is it that we see, and gain the appreciation of what others see and how others can see that opportunity very different than we can. Just think about the last time you felt out of space and out of place somewhere. How did your skills, how did your strengths really inform your reality? How those strengths help you to cope or stop you from coping? You know, how did you really welcome that opportunity, and how did you resist that opportunity? I think in many ways, you know, when we think about change, when I think about change in my own life, various jobs and relationships and my family dynamics, for me, I tend to rush through change. I'm really good at rushing through change. And again, I'm strategic, achiever, learner, and input. I run all the time. I never stop running, and I enjoy running. But part of it is I never transition well. I just transition in and out, in and out, every single moment of my life. And I like it, but at the same time, I find myself at times not appreciating the change. For you, that's a good question. With the set of skills you have, just think about, well, how do you approach change when it happens? Do you rush through it? Do you embrace it? Do you ignore it? Do you oppose it? What's your most natural way to face change? How do you respond to a change you have to face? I think it's really important and meaningful to reflect on it, because we all will do it very, very differently. Because we all will use very different lenses, not only of examining the reality we face, but also making a meaning out of that reality. Just think about your strengths and think about the change which you face, whether it's recent or about to happen. Are you excited? Are you not excited? Are you ignoring it? Are you postponing it as far as you can? Why are you with it? And why? How does it help you? Or how does it stop you from the next great thing, perhaps which is stored for you? Again, I'm strategic, achiever, input, learner. I love consulting. When I was in consulting, I loved it. I was just saying that to somebody because it was 3 months engagement and then I moved on. And I loved it. I was never bored. And then I started working in the parish, and I got to Wilmette, and I loved my parish when I was there in the Wilmette. I loved it for a whole 4 years. But God, after 4 years, I was so ready to go. And people didn't get it. There's still some people who are angry that I left. Really, but I said to the cardinal, I said, I gave them 4 years, I loved it, we did a great things together, but God, I'm done. I need change. I'm bored. And it's not that the parish was boring, God wasn't challenges. I was just done. I was ready for a move because I like change. I'm actually one of those people who, looking at my own sets of skills and my strengths, I actually embrace it quite well. So I was ready. Whereas other people, some of my classmates, are still in the same parish. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, how do you do it? The credibility, but the fact that they can actually predict what will happen and the rhythm of their life, and they just love it. They embraced it and they think it's the greatest thing ever. Again, an opportunity for us to appreciate unique gifts and skills we bring, but also to realize that we do come from very different perspectives, and hence we see the reality very different. If your strength is connectedness, we know that you really appreciate strong relationships with other people, not only with people, relationship with places too. So the transition, which interrupts the bonds of connection, hurts you deeply. If that's a high strength for you, if you, well, not damn it, really, it's just a reality. But if connectedness is really high, I have a pretty good hearing. Not so great with eyesight. And it reminds me, one day I was saying the masses back to back at Saint Clement. I think it was like a year ago or so in the summer, and this little girl was screaming in whole 8 a.m. mass. And what do I care? I mean, I know what I'm saying, and Jesus will come on the altar whether people are screaming or not. And thankfully there were like 30 pews between us, so I was like, be my guest. So I did say the mass, and then after the mass, the girl was still crying outside, and the dad said to her, if you don't stop, we'll walk back into the church and you will have to listen to him one more time. I do not say hello to him. I heard it. If your strength is competition, the science would tell us that you would see change as a loss, no matter if it's a good or bad change. Because you have to compete from the very beginning. Start anew game. If change is not done well, and we don't really embrace it with our skills, with our own strengths, if we don't step back and ask ourselves, why do we react the way we react, it can be done really messy and have bad consequences for all of us. Never underestimate the capacity of transition and the capacity transition provide for really great opportunity to reconnect with people in a new way. I hear that, what Rex hears that, I'm sure, in a confessional every single Saturday when we listen to confession. By the way, Saint Clement, is one of those places where I didn't know places like that existed in the city. When we are always busy for the 45 minutes. It's never 45 minutes. We are always there. It's always packed. It really is. It's unbelievable. A lot of grace. But what is confession? It's an opportunity to step away from sin because of the change which happened in our hearts by God's grace. The conversion, the things we preach every Sunday, it's nothing else but a spiritual call of Christ to constant change. How do you think do we approach that? Through our strengths. So it's important to understand it, because if Christ calls us to this constant spiritual change called conversion of hearts, then sure, some of us, like me, will jump in and miss half of it. Honest to God. Sometimes I wonder, how in the world did I become a priest and still don't know so much stuff? Because when I, talk to people at the daily mass and so forth, they're so much holier than I am. I mean, honest to God, I always said to people, the people who come to church every single day are the people who keep our parishes going. Those are the saints of our parishes. By large. But the truth of the matter is, those are the people who keep us going spiritually, and allow the battery of the life of parish be constantly charged with the prayer and the graces we all need. It is because of their prayer that we are constantly embraced by the grace of God. It's a pretty profound experience, I think. But think about it. Knowing that the spiritual change is part of it, that the spiritual conversion is part of what Christ invites us into, we got to understand, whether we jump into it, whether we oppose it, especially now as we are facing the time of the season of Lent. That's an important thing for all of us to reflect on. How are we going to approach this season? And we right away know that some people would say, oh my gosh, I cannot wait for Lent to start because I want to lose 10 pounds. I cannot tell you how many times I've heard that. Here we go again. Or people who will always say, oh, I'm giving up chocolate or drinking and all that stuff. And it's like, okay, great. I'm sure there is some sacrificial grace in it, but Lent is a little bit deeper. So change. How do our strengths help us to go deeper, so we won't just do stuff or not do stuff, but how can we go deeper to experience the person of Jesus? See, that's why we struggle as a church so much, because we speak about Christ much more than we are in the relationship with Christ. No? Just think about it. We speak with, even in the church, I really appreciate a lot of stuff which is going on in our church, especially in the United States. But at the same time, if we would pray as much as we meet in our parishes, it would be much better. Honest to God. I mean, just measure it. Sometimes how many times you go and how many hours you spend a month at church meetings and how many hours you actually spend on prayer. We have a deficit of prayer and a surplus of meetings. Honest to God. That's where we are as a church. And we have to at one point start shifting about. I mean, you guys all know the results. You know, it's part of my job as the predictions for the future. You know, 85% of the kids we confirm in our parishes by the age of 21 will not be practicing their faith. 85%. Now, no kidding, Scared. I mean, you think we have problems? No kidding. Welcome to the world of great opportunity. That's where my positivity kicks in. My team is like, oh my God. And I'm like, great, just think about it. If we can do it, everybody can do it. So we'll do it. Because the grace is always sufficient. That's what Jesus said. Huh? Of course, now I'm lost.